Cinderella knelt in her garden, her hands brushing gently over the fragrant petals of roses she had planted. The air was filled with birdsong and the soft chatter of squirrels darting through the hedges. It was a moment of peace, a rare gift amid the ceaseless chores imposed by her stepmother and stepsisters. As she hummed a lullaby taught to her by her late mother, a white dove descended gracefully from the sky, carrying a small scroll tied with a ribbon. Startled, Cinderella extended her hand, and the dove released the parchment into her grasp before vanishing into the treetops. The scroll shimmered faintly as she unrolled it. Written in elegant, golden script, the message read, "Dear friend of the forest, you are cordially invited to the Grand Animal Parade, held in the heart of the forest tomorrow at sunset. Wear your finest and bring your kind heart. Sincerely, the Council of Creatures." Cinderella's eyes widened. She'd heard whispers of the animal parade, an event so magical it was said to unite the entire forest in celebration. But she had never dreamed she would be invited. As excitement bubbled within her, a shadow fell across the garden. Her stepmother stood in the doorway, her expression sour. "Why are you dawdling, girl? There's laundry to wash, floors to scrub, and supper to prepare." "Yes, stepmother," Cinderella replied softly, hiding the scroll behind her back. But even as she returned to her chores, the invitation lingered in her thoughts. She resolved to find a way to attend, no matter the obstacles. As night fell, Cinderella confided in her forest friends, her loyal mice and the birds who nested in the eaves. "I've been invited to the animal parade," she whispered, holding up the scroll. "But how can I go? I have nothing to wear, and my stepmother would never allow it." The mice squeaked and chirped in excitement. "We'll help," Gus declared, puffing out his tiny chest. The birds nodded eagerly, fluttering off to gather materials. In the attic, the mice set to work stitching together scraps of fabric they had collected. Cinderella watched in awe as her animal companions transformed the scraps into a dress unlike anything she had ever seen. The fabric shimmered with hues of emerald green and deep forest blue, accented with delicate embroidery resembling vines and flowers. The finishing touch came when one of the birds presented a golden ribbon. "It's beautiful," Cinderella whispered, tears brimming in her eyes. "Thank you, all of you." The next morning, however, her stepmother seemed to sense her anticipation. "You'll not leave this house today," she said sharply, handing Cinderella an impossibly long list of chores. "And don't even think of slacking, or you'll have no supper tonight." Cinderella's heart sank, but she clung to hope. With the help of her animal friends, she tackled the chores at lightning speed, scrubbing floors, hanging laundry, and peeling vegetables until her arms ached. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, she finally slipped away. The forest was alive with twilight magic. The trees seemed taller, their branches arching overhead to form a natural canopy. Fireflies danced like tiny stars, and the soft rustle of leaves whispered secrets only the forest knew. Cinderella followed the path, her heart pounding with anticipation. Suddenly, a rabbit darted out of the bushes and stopped in her path. "You must be Cinderella," it said in a gentle voice. Startled but not afraid, Cinderella nodded. "Yes, I am." "Follow me," the rabbit instructed, its ears twitching. "The council awaits." The rabbit led her through a narrow, winding trail that seemed to glow faintly under her feet. Flowers bloomed in her wake, and small creatures peeked out to catch a glimpse of her. Cinderella marveled at the beauty surrounding her, feeling as though she had stepped into a dream. At last, the trail opened into a vast clearing bathed in golden light. Animals of every shape and size were gathered, their fur and feathers adorned with intricate decorations. Elephants wore garlands of flowers, peacocks fanned out their iridescent tails, and even the tiniest insects glimmered like jewels. In the center of the clearing stood a majestic stag, its antlers entwined with vines and blossoms. It stepped forward, its eyes filled with warmth and wisdom. "Welcome, Cinderella," the stag said, bowing its head. "We are honored by your presence." Cinderella curtsied, overwhelmed by the grandeur of the scene. "Thank you for inviting me. This is more beautiful than I ever imagined." The stag smiled. "The parade is about to begin. And tonight, you shall ride as our guest of honor." Cinderella's heart raced with excitement as the parade began. The council of creatures, the regal stag, a wise old owl, and the mischievous fox, led the procession. Behind them, animals of every imaginable type marched with elegance and joy. The owl perched atop a branch, guiding the parade with its hoots, while the peacock strutted proudly, its feathers shimmering like the colors of the rainbow. Each animal seemed to carry its own story, and Cinderella could feel the magic that wove them all together. As the procession continued, Cinderella couldn't help but smile. There were songs sung by the wolves in the distance, and the soft notes of a harp played by a pair of squirrels filled the air with melody. Rabbits and squirrels carried lanterns that glowed warmly, lighting the way as twilight deepened into night. The trees surrounding the clearing seemed to sway to the rhythm of the music, their leaves shimmering with starlight. The flowers along the path bloomed brighter, their petals opening in time with the beat of the parade. Cinderella felt as though she were part of something far bigger than herself, an enchanting world where every creature, great and small, was united in celebration. At the front of the parade, the stag turned to Cinderella. "You are our guest of honor tonight, Cinderella," he said, his voice rich with wisdom. "And now, you shall have your place beside us." With a nod, Cinderella followed him to the head of the parade, where a majestic horse with a silken mane stood waiting. The animal's coat shimmered in the moonlight, and as Cinderella approached, it lowered its head in a graceful bow. The stag gestured to the saddle. "This horse is the finest in the forest, chosen to carry the one who has shown the most kindness and courage among us. Will you accept the honor?" Overwhelmed, Cinderella nodded, her heart full of gratitude. "I would be honored." As she mounted the horse, she felt a surge of magic coursing through her veins. The animals around her cheered, and the parade continued on, winding its way through the forest like a ribbon of light. The night air grew cooler as the parade wound its way deeper into the forest. Cinderella rode gracefully beside the stag, the horse's hoofs drumming a steady rhythm on the soft earth. The animals around her danced and played, their joy infectious. But as they reached the heart of the forest, something extraordinary happened. From the trees ahead, a hauntingly beautiful melody began to play. The song drifted through the air like a breeze, its notes carrying a deep sense of mystery. Cinderella felt the pull of the music in her chest, as though the song was calling to her. The stag smiled knowingly. "This is the song of the forest," he explained. "It is a song that speaks to the heart, a melody that reminds us of our connection to this magical land. It is said that only those with a pure heart can truly hear its full beauty." Cinderella closed her eyes for a moment, letting the music wash over her. Each note seemed to resonate within her soul, and she felt the presence of the forest itself surrounding her. It was as if the trees, the animals, and the very earth beneath her feet were all singing in harmony. Suddenly, the music swelled to a crescendo, and the forest erupted in a brilliant explosion of light. Fireflies filled the air, their glowing bodies twinkling like stars. The flowers bloomed in a kaleidoscope of colors, and the trees shimmered with golden light. Cinderella's heart fluttered in awe as the magic of the forest unfolded before her eyes. She raised her head, her eyes sparkling with wonder. "It's so beautiful," she whispered. "It is the magic that binds us all," the stag said softly. "And tonight, you are part of it." As the parade drew to a close, Cinderella found herself standing at the edge of a vast clearing, bathed in the soft glow of the stars above. The forest had quieted, the animals retreating to their homes, but the magic lingered in the air. The stag turned to Cinderella, his expression warm and kind. "You have shown us the power of kindness, Cinderella. Your heart has brought you here, and now you must carry the spirit of the forest with you wherever you go." Cinderella nodded, her heart swelling with gratitude. "I will never forget this night, and I will always carry the magic with me." The stag smiled. "You are always welcome here, Cinderella. The forest is your home, and you are part of its story." With a final nod, Cinderella turned and began to make her way back along the glowing path, the animals trailing behind her in quiet procession. As she walked, she could feel the magic of the forest still pulsing within her, and she knew that this night would stay with her forever. When she finally emerged from the forest and returned home, the stars above seemed to shine a little brighter, and the air felt a little sweeter. Cinderella smiled as she gazed up at the sky. She knew that the world was full of magic, if only you had the courage to believe in it. And with that, her heart swelled with a sense of peace, knowing that her journey had only just begun.